Rightio, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to On Loose Lines. Daniel Hibberd joins me. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Paul.
We late minute change, computer change, very, very late for you. Better audio though tonight, a little bit blurred from time to time, but a much, much neater looking audio, mate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Go and spend a heap of money on a computer that doesn't work. It's not nice, but we do what we can do, and we'll try and get that fixed up. But back on the old tablet, which is still as good as ever. So yeah, at least it sounds better this week.
Yep, no, definitely, and we've got people on. I'm just trying to get a couple of things to happen, mate, as we go. Just trying to bloody Facebook. They change things up, and unfortunately, they're going to make it tricky for me to be able to do what I did last week with the comments. Now we're right. We might be able to get the comments. So people get involved with their comments. Please feel free to. We've got a couple of people already liked the show and enjoyed the show, Daniel. So, which is very, very good. And it's good to have you back, mate. A day of calling the Meadows. I was rapt to hear that. You were on early, but it was good to hear you at the Meadows. 2 metros in 2 days, mate.
Yeah, it's it doesn't happen all that often. It's generally Bendigo on a Wednesday afternoon, twilight time for me, but had to do Bendigo today, the Meadows today, so early on the road and home by about tick after 5:30, which is not too bad. And if anything, the Meadows is one of the easier tracks for me to get to, apart from obviously Shepherd, and it's only 2 hours from door to door basically, and nice easy trip down and back.
I apologise for having me back to the crew, but just trying to make sure I've got the feed coming through, but that's all right. It is an easy trip backwards and forwards. Sandown tomorrow night, mate. Big meeting again coming up. Like racing's hotting up everywhere, but is the Sandown hotting up for you guys?
This is probably one of those gap meetings, I guess. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill card tomorrow. There's a couple of nice ones going around, but nothing too outrageous. But certainly from pretty much next week onwards for the next sort of 8 weeks, well, not maybe even longer than that, basically 10 or 12 weeks. It's really strong racing as we build up to the Melbourne Cup Carnival and all the features at Sandown, and also the Top Gun and the Top Gun stayers at the Meadows the week before the Melbourne Cup Carnival. So for the next after this week, the next couple of months is pretty crazy.
No, absolutely. Timmy White is watching. Tim White, you typed in the good evening on the wrong post. I did actually see that, but it's an hour later for the Kiwis now, and I've already got an official apology. Cam Bray will not be joining us because it's too late for him now because they've switched to daylight savings already, Daniel.
Yeah, they have. So it'll be 9 o'clock over there. So
way past young Cam. Way past.
We catch up next week.
Is it next week? Is it?
This week. Yeah, this week.
Is it this weekend coming?
I'm pretty sure it's this weekend.
You're telling the story.
Someone will let us know. Well, someone will let us know.
If you're wrong, mate, this is the award-winning, #1 rated harness racing show. Everyone now is winding their clocks forward an hour.
No, I've just checked, and I am correct. I did fact check it, and I am correct. It is this weekend. 2 o'clock this weekend.
We've got plenty to cover off on, and I want people to get involved in tonight's show as well. There's little bits happening around the world, in the industry. Lots going on in America, which we'll touch on in a second. A couple other things that we've got to bring up, some of the topics as well. But with the Inter-Dominion. But I just woke up this morning and I went out and had breakfast and watched Fox, and I love pay TV. I think it's one thing that we take for granted a little bit over here, and being able to watch everything. But prime time in England recently was a fishing competition that was beamed live. Now harness racing doesn't get any exposure at all in any of these fields with things getting exposed or beamed across. I watched that. I watched the darts, the World Cup of Darts. They have their own shows on Fox. They're standalone shows. Like, we can't get 2 minutes in harness racing now on pay TV, and yet I turn onto there and they've got full-blown shows and all the rest. I will say the fishing show was a little bit captivating. It was good audio, good to watch, But it's a worry for our industry, I reckon, that we can't get anyone on there. And I think we need to reinvent ourselves a little bit and try and get a foothold into that world.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think the stuff that is actually on TV, particularly from a sporting point of view, what sports will actually get shown. And like the one that strikes me that I've sort of not watched a lot of, but I've watched bits and pieces of it, is the European Cricket League. And the European Cricket League is about as good a standard of cricket as what you'd find at under 12s on a Saturday morning here in Australia. It is very, very ordinary cricket. But for the life of me, people watch it.
Yep.
And it gets coverage and it gets exposure. And, whether it's cost them a fair bit of coin to actually get it on there, I'm not too sure. And whether the want for watching it is the demand for wanting it to watch it is high, I'm not sure either. But for a sport like racing, and it's obviously got, from a mainstream point of view, the connotations are obviously gambling and so forth and that side of things. But it's also the sporting aspect of the horse and so forth. And I think over in England, they tend to do it a lot better in terms of the horse, more so than the punting side of things. Particularly when you go and watch meetings like Royal Ascot and things like that, they sort of, when they're doing the pre-parade and stuff like that, they'll centre on the horse more than the punting. And there's still obviously a key side of the punting aspect of it as well. But in terms of us in harness racing, it'd be just nice to get some sort of exposure on that free-to-air market, or even if it is on a pay TV sort of market. I'm not sure how that would work in a pay perspective. Obviously, with Sky Channel, the key tool to getting our product out there. But from a free-to-air perspective, it's it might cost us a bit. It might cost you a bit of coin to do it, but the benefits that you're going to get as a result of that are probably too hard to quantify at this early stage. And when you think about, what's gone on in the past with Channel 31 and how good that was from a Melbourne perspective, and we obviously didn't get it out here in the bush, or didn't reach out this far. But, that was really cutting edge at the time, cutting edge coverage of racing. I mean, not even the Gallops did stuff like that. So, if we could just get that little bit of a foothold in a free-to-air market on a regular basis, mainstream style of and getting people's attention. I know we're going to get people's attention as we get towards the back end of the year with the better racing and good races and so forth. But if we could just get that mainstream media foothold, and it doesn't need to be much, just to give it a bit of the industry a bit of a kick along, it'd be fantastic. How that happens, I don't know, but it'd be nice to see it happen.
Yep, I totally agree. And I think we've got to try and reinvent it a bit. There's ways that we can do it, and there's ways we should be doing it, and I think we have to do that. My Kiwi friends, there's a couple on board. Timmy White has actually posted their good evening, and he's in the same as Cam. He's away to bed. He's got Auckland tomorrow for the rally car racing for the World Rally Car Racing. Catch you next week. We will see Timmy next week. So, but yeah, that's something different.
Sweet.
I wasn't expecting that from Timmy. Michael House, Timmy White's going to count sheep, unlike him to be doing that. And then Brian Davey, I'm sorry, Brian, I'll try and get rid of that for you. Better racing and better horses, best drivers, we need to use them more. Yep, I agree. My thoughts are, though, that this fishing show was an organised fishing show in a moat. It was in a moat, and that's all they had to do was see who could catch the most fish. Maybe we've got to try and do shows to get people to go to the races. I'm not talking about having our racing changed and go for these 1,000-metre dashes, which seem to have gone by the wayside again, and all this other stuff. The romance of our industry is what we love, but we need to get something to get people to go to there. Like what they said before, the Penthouse Club. The Penthouse Club is something that comes up before my time, but effectively they had guests come on the show. Next race was due to go at the showgrounds. They'd cross to that race. They'd come back. They'd make harness racing relevant. Sometimes they'd have harness people. I know Graham Wilson tells me one day he went in there and he was as nervous as all he was a young driver, but he had to go on mainstream TV, so that was something different. So I think that's where they've got to start and think a little bit differently around those styles of things. So, yep, and thank you very much.
I guess I think the big thing too is, I sort of mentioned this to you before as well, like society's changed so much in the last 20 years on how people watch their sport and watch their racing in particular. And it's a completely different landscape to what it was 20, 30 years ago, and back in the days of the showgrounds racing. But we just need to be able to get some sort of foothold in mainstream media to pump it out there. And I don't know what that is, but people aren't sitting at home and watching races non-stop now. They were for 2 years because we obviously had COVID, and that was made everyone basically have to find stuff to do. And the product that we were putting out in terms of harness racing in particular with Trots Vision and so forth was really, really good and really positive, and kept the industry going, and to a degree attracted a new market. But with things getting back to normal, we now need to look to different avenues of trying to get that that vision of harness racing out there again.
One of the guys on there, Daniel, I don't know if you follow him or not, but Michael House, he does some terrific live chats on Facebook. There's so many people, the content they put out there. Lara J Farms, for a busy farm like they are, they put an enormous amount of content out there. And that these people, Harness Racing New Zealand, I'm going to showcase a little thing in a minute of what they actually did just recently in promoting their industry. And I think hats off to them. I reckon they do an awesome job. But just being able to get it back onto that Fox or Channel 7 on a regular basis, even... you go to Tamworth and you wake up in the morning at the motels and you've got the footage of people fishing again. They're out there just standing on a boat, throwing lines out. And it's on 7 Mate or whatever it is. But they're there. How do we get our shows, and what do we need to do to get our shows back onto those sort of platforms? Is what I suppose one of my gripes, if you like, and one of the things I'd like to be able to change it. Lee Sutton has timed in there. We need the people with the great horses to showcase them, because they're the ones that make us great. Absolutely, Lee. We definitely need that. But again, just my point is, how do we get it onto that mainstream? I don't think we can't get Geelong Friday night on mainstream TV. I think that's pie in the sky stuff. We might be able to get though the Geelong like cup, which is not a cup. I forget what they call it now because it's over the mile. But we might be able to get that onto pay TV, onto real life TV, because we could build up a platform, where people want to and have the want to be able to watch that sort of style of racing as well. So that's my thoughts.
What we need to be looking at is with what we've been able to produce with Trots Vision, is to be able to. That's the product that we need to get out there on the free-to-air market. Now, as I sort of mentioned previously with racing.com, they have a lot of dead time when you think about it. I mean, they have the Gallops. They do the Gallops Victoria and obviously South Australia. And that's basically throughout the afternoon each day of the week. Now, obviously, there's night racing as well, where they'll fill meetings at Moonee Valley and Cranbourne and Pakenham. And a lot of that will be throughout the summer period. But there's plenty of spots where we could put decent meetings on of a weeknight that could be shown on racing.com, and that's where in particular the next rights agreement and the joint venture and so forth. That's what we need to be able to try to achieve, is to get products into the mainstream media on that service, because it's just, when you think about it, yes, racing.com have all their feature programs and all that sort of stuff, but it's not racing. Like, it's not live racing. Why wouldn't you have live racing, regardless of what the code was, on that platform? So that's what I think we should be looking for.
Yep, Michael House there says horse racing social licence is about class. Sadly, boys, the whore racing we have will not survive long term. And I understand what he means here. Massive days regularly are the only way to capture the class required to stand the test of time. The other days just fill in the weeks to days. And what he's basically saying is, because we have wall-to-wall racing all the time, which we have to, it's a beast that we've created. we belittle our product. But I think we need to be able to. I'm sure they have fishing contests every day, and they definitely have darts contests every day. So how do we go about getting our product out there and onto there? So I'd be interested in more and more people, their comments coming through that. And I do appreciate everyone getting involved. And Michael House, while you're on there, I appreciate and love everything you do, promoting the industry in the way you do. He has a lot of fun about it. He can be a bit cheeky sometimes, Daniel. He can say some politically borderline incorrect things to say, but he is promoting the industry. And anyone that promotes the industry, I take my hat off to him, because I think we need to do more and more of that. Big show. We'll hear from some of the other people as they put their cases across, how we can get it back onto some necessarily, I don't think mainstream either, because Channel 7 here in Australia, especially for the Kiwis, I think there's 5 other Channel 7 channels, and Channel 9, I think they've also got their live streaming ones. Surely we were able to do something in that field that we can build into there. But anyway.
And that's what I was we were talking before we came on here. That's the thing. It's not just people sitting at home watching TV in their lounge rooms anymore, as it may have been for 2 years with COVID. People digest their sporting fix, I guess you could say, in a completely different way to what they did a long time ago, where it was just you'd go home and flick the telly on, and a lot of the time you only had 5 channels to pick from anyway. So It's a completely different landscape, and that's the thing that we need to try and work out which way is the best way to tap into that market.
Daniel, I'm about to do a lot of stuff with Harness Racing New Zealand, heading across there for their New Zealand Cup in Kaikoura. But this is what I'm talking about.
On a junket.
This is what I'm talking about, though. I just declared that I am. There is probably there's no worries there. But this is how they had the Banks Peninsula. This was a grass track race, and this is something coming back to what Victoria have actually said just recently. But this is how they do a bit of their rap, and I reckon this is the sorts of stuff that we could get onto mainstream TV with the right influence. Goes for about 4 minutes. We'll be back straight after it.
Last year, it was Mataderos by a big margin. He's unbeaten on this course in 2 starts. He's unbeaten over the distance of 2,800 metres as well. He's back here to defend his title. The field are now turning in, a lap and a half, 2,810 metres. Set, and they're off. He blew the start for a couple of steps, Mataderos, but he quickly found his feet. Matuatana was away okay. It's Mataderos 2 in front, Oscar Bonavina. Then came Artie by the hill and Matuatana. Mataderos at the furlongs, 3 in front from Oscar Bonavina, who's giving chase. Then Matuatana and Artie by the hill, but Mataderos at the 100 metres. He's 3 to 4 lengths in front of Oscar Bonavina. He's going back to back, and Mataderos won it. Mataderos by 4 from Oscar Bonavina. 3rd across Artie by the hill, and Resolve got up for 4th.
Johnny, his grass track record is outstanding on this track as well and in this race.
Yeah, definitely. Last year he won pretty convincingly, and like you say, he loves the grass. It's good that this race is a big race on the grass. I wish there was more throughout the season, but like you say, he's just a different horse, and onwards and upwards to Cup week now.
He was a little rough away, but settled fairly quickly.
Yeah, he was. He's sort of a funny horse. There was no tape in front of me. I think he's one of those ones, if you can see the tape, he steps better. So he's sort of lucky he come back down trotting as quick as he did, and couldn't complain with the trip I got in running. So he did it nice up the straight.
What's his pathway now, Johnny?
He'll probably go in 2 weeks' time to Canterbury Park, and then probably stick that stand. We'll go to Kaikoura stand, and then the Dominion. So all going well.
Regan, he followed the right one into it and finished strongly today.
Yeah, really pleased. Johnny's one's pretty smart on the grass. He's a nice horse, and just a 30-metre handicap probably played its part at the end, and we had a flat tyre as well. So I was wrapped with him actually. So we're on the right track. Yeah,
form's definitely heading the right way towards the Dominion. What's the next step for him?
There's the Canterbury Classic one coming up, so we might go there and then on to the mile sort of thing. But I'll have a look through and just see how he comes through today. So yeah, we've got plenty of time up his sleeve, but yeah, he seems to have pulled up good.
Johnny, Artie by the Hills had a win and a placing since joining your barn. You must be pretty happy with the run today.
Yeah, really happy. He come down in great order from up north. So, but at least he's handling this way around. He did a fair bit of work early, so keep going for third. Really happy.
Where to next for him? What's the plan?
No, there's actually a rating race on the 14th, the same night as Canterbury Park, so I probably might put him in that one. And then depends how he steps up. Might tackle the big boys after that, but just let the horse do the talking.
Paul, Resolve stepped up nicely today on the grass track.
Yes, she went a really good race, thanks Courtney, and ran home really well.
She's not nominated for the Dominion Pole, but where next for her?
Well, there's a nice race coming up for at Methven, a fillies and mares race, I believe, and I think there's probably eligible for a good race next Sunday at Timaru, so we'll look at those too.
Matuatana, Paul, he sat in the breeze for a while, but held on nicely and had good manners today.
Yes, he went quite a good race. Probably think he probably could have gone a wee bit better, but yeah, he might just need pull down blinds or something to sharpen him up a bit at the finish. So, but yeah, we're pleased to have him trotting a bit more solid.
And where to next for him?
I haven't looked too hard, but probably the mile of Ashburton will be a good race for him. Nice big track, and yeah.
Right, Daniel, we are back and we're back live, and you didn't quite get to see the end of it, but I'm sure you got the good gist of it because unfortunately Daniel's about 30 seconds behind the coverage. Very well done and short and sharp, and they're the sorts of things that I think we can definitely, especially if you imagine a harness show where we could involve the New Zealanders as well here in Australia. We'd be able to fill half an hour with quality content like that very easily.
Oh, absolutely. That was really good coverage, and as you said, very straight to the point sort of thing, and not a lot of fluff with it. It was just it was brilliant.
No, all right. We've just got a couple of questions we'll get through, Daniel, and we'll try and get back onto the straight and narrow. Michael House, I'll get to Michael House's about the 4th of December a little bit later on. Michael, I saw that. No, I didn't see the hedge. Did you see the hedge? I missed. I
didn't see the hedge,
but I've got to be careful because Banks Peninsula is actually Cambray's. He is the president there, so I don't know whether he's having a crack at Cambray. May have done it. I don't know. So with Michael, you've always got to be a little bit careful. Bring races back to clubs like Bendigo, and that absolutely agree, Lee. Not sure. I might read it this way. It might be the easiest way to read Lee's in front of me. So we need to bring back races like the Breeders' Crown to Bendigo, Ballarat, then place them. Ballarat, then place. How about Sires finals away from Melton? I've seen that atmosphere at the meeting. They're much better. Unfortunately, interheats will only get half a crowd, but they're not enough advertising because they're our biggest killer. Miss that. There are not enough advertisements because that's our biggest killer. Absolutely. Yep. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, even this weekend in racing and into the fields, and we will get to that. We'll end up going all night the way we're going here at the minute, mate. But I do totally agree with Lee there that huge night of racing. And I'll get one off me back. They're down by the seaside for me good friends Woodlands. Derby heats are sensational. They should be pumping them out up left, right and centre right as we speak. So, we'll go for there. President Bray lives in the grey. he's looking forward to catching up with you, Michael, when I'm over there very, very shortly. Quickly, there's been 3 2-year-olds run and one at Bendigo tonight. And it's some of these races are really good. They're starting to hot up. Race 4 is on the track. Have you got the fields there in front of you, mate?
I have, yeah.
The first 2 were taken out by Sons of Captain Treacherous, trained by Emma Stewart, driven by Mark Pitt. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
So the heats of the Homegrown Classic, the Lost Storm won the first, Captain Treacherous out of Aishi Whitby, led all the way 157. Beat School Captain. I did hear this, and School Captain made up a ton of ground at the back end of the race. It was a long way off them after going back from barrier 5 at the start. It might be one to follow. I think it wasn't a bad run. Perfect class, $1.60 favourite, 155 the mile rate. Captain Treacherous out of Perfect Life beat Bedazzled. So for Russell and Nathan, Jack in second spot there. The third race was the first heat for the fillies, and the $1.18 favourite Perfect in Pink has run last. Query report, vets examination, etc., etc. MJB won for Julian Darrell Douglas. Marnie Bibby is the owner breeder. It's by Village Jolt out of Virginia Lightning. I, from memory, was one of her mares that she used to race around. I think you'll find.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so $12. They led all the way, went 57.4 for the first heat for the fillies, and the second heat of the fillies, as you say, is due in about 4 minutes.
Some very nicely bred horses stepping out there. The second horse, school captain there before, is another Captain Treacherous out of Yankee Showgirl. Yankee Showgirl, of course, is out of Aston Villa, making her a Yankee Showgirl. I'll just better check what she's by before I say who. Yeah, a half to both Poster Boy and Yankee Rockstar. So, yeah, beautifully bred horse there. And the other little interesting thing about that, Daniel, is Russell Jack ran second. So I said Captain Treacherous, Emma Stewart, Mark Pitt. Russell Jack, Nathan Jack running second. So, yeah.
Second, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, but we'll keep people posted. There's some really nice races. Go back and watch some of the replays. And that Dave Moran drove that one for Team Stewart. So, yeah, we'll keep on top of those 4 people as they go around and go from there. Daniel, before this race does come up, because for some reason, I've lost it off my phone to be able to watch it. That's okay. Happy birthdays. Have a listen to this for a day. Mark Barton, the boss of Nutrients. I better look after him. Brett Coffey. Ryan Duffy, who's making his driving return, I believe, tonight at Bendigo. Craig Judd yesterday. Buddha Pell, the great man from the Greyhounds. Yes, his birthday as well. So well done to Buddha. He's having a great run. And Aaron Willis. None of you guys will know Aaron Willis, but I can tell you, if you get to a camp draft, you want Willis alongside you. Absolute cracker. Best dancer you'll come across, and absolute great bloke. They've all celebrated their birthday in the last 2 days. So congratulations to all of those. I was nearly going to have my own birthday special, but yeah, I was just like, I'm going to be in trouble for forgetting someone. Don't worry about that.
The show will run till bloody midnight. You reading out all your birthday shout.
I got to try and get this race field up because there's a couple in this that I want to see. Sweet Lou for Woodlands had his 38th individual 2-year-old winner this season, the Monday night at Perth. Of course, Sweet Lou is booked out this season. So my job's very easy. Oh, man, I can't get back to this thing. Yep, now I'm right. Shouldn't do 2 things at once. Sweet Lou is booked out.
Can't do 2 things at once. You struggle to do 3 things at once.
Daniel, the Little Brown Jug, I'm not going to mute your audio, but I'm going to play the last 200 metres of it. It was won by the Missile, of course, who is down by the seaside, hence I'm not silly. But just these calls, but it's interesting because this guy makes the Little Brown Jug. It's almost cringeworthy, and yet it's enjoyable. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to get the last 200 metres, but we'll be back straight after it.
Side horse, smart boy, Worth on the outside. It's by the missile on the outside, gets to the front, closing ground. Nighthawk on the outside, by the missile. The battle's on for second and third. By the missile wins the Little Brown Jug.
I just got to give Daniel a couple of seconds just as he can catch up. But he makes it. It's odd, isn't it? Like I've heard a few Little Brown Jug calls, and that guy just makes it.
I think it's the catch cry with that race in particular is that they say the horse's name and then they say has won the Little Brown Jug, and they put the pause in before they say the Little Brown Jug, and they say it really quickly, and it just makes for good effect and everyone, every man and his dog knows exactly what race they're talking about.
Falcon Sealster, I think it was, went on social medias last week, and it was sensational to watch. So yeah, and he said something in it, and it was just brilliant. He says the Little Brown Jug. He won by 20 lengths. And ease and down. And I have seen that one. Yeah, it's an amazing race, that one. Yeah. And as he's easing down, he goes, wins a Little Brown Jug. The horse going to the front at Bendigo, I believe, is Roger Houston there. Alex Hurley's give us the name. I think this is a half to.
Elysian Jay's just gone to the front for Emma and Kate.
It's a half
in
to.
the Ben Stud colours for them.
It's a half to Tough Tilly, I think. Could be wrong.
Out of Ben Injured.
Ben Injured, yeah. Do you know that's its name? Ben Injured. There's nothing fancy about it. That's its actual name, yeah, because they had them all with the Ben Stud prefix. She got injured, so they said, rightio. So I'd always thinking I'm saying it wrong, and it is exactly that. It's Ben Injured. That's all it is. So, yeah. I'm pretty happy with that one. Dylan Ferguson's chived in there. Wiggle It, Jiggle It was a cracker, and it was. I do. I should try and get some more of them, but it's a great race. It's a great racing series over there in the Little Brown Jug. And this time of year, I'm going to show another race in a sec that doesn't have audio, but I love watching the American racing. I encourage people to watch Cossa TV on YouTube and also the Meadowlands track. There's a few others over there, but Cossa TV, especially the stuff coming out of Mohawk at the minute, is brilliant to watch. It's really entertaining in that. You just keep half an eye on this, Daniel. While I go to Lexington. The Lexington sales start this week coming as well. And Mark Hughes tells me that lather up, just for people thinking about whether he's worthwhile going to or not, he's got 10 in the sale. On their pedigree pages, each individual horse has, the mares are averaging $6 million out of the 10 on the pedigree pages. So, pretty impressive there. And the Better's Delight debuter got home to run third. That's half to My Charlie's Angel, who is by Sweet Lou. Clive's Girl, that horse was called. Got home nicely, didn't it?
It did, weaving through there. I actually thought, just watching it then, that Aaron Dunn's horse, You Beauty, was going to cause a bit of an upset, but just sort of ran out of puff the last little bit. But, yeah, Elysian Jade leads all the way. Clive's Girl might have nearly pinched second here. It's close, though, with Alana Mickey for Nathan Purdon and Josh Dickey. You Beauty is going to run fourth. And so two's the winner, and they've paused it. I need them to keep going. Roll the video.
Doesn't matter. Nathan Purdon's strike rate at Bendigo is amazing. I think he's 75% top three. There's a little one for you. I know he's going home, but yeah, he's about 75% top three there.
Clive Girl got second and Alana Mickey third. So Charlene did get second right on the peg.
So I'd say Alana Mickey will we'll have a stab in the dark and say it's an always be Mickey without looking at it, I reckon. I'd be comfortable saying that.
You'd be pretty unlucky if it wasn't. Always be Mickey out of Anna Finn.
Yep. Elysian J, I would imagine, has a tie back to Craig's daughter, Tough Tilly, where's the EB research, and I know there's a lot of stuff coming on that, and we'll get onto that very, very soon. Not tonight's show, but I will touch base with the guys, see where they're at with that. But yeah, Elysian Jane, I think will be Craig's daughter, I think is her name. I'll get into trouble for not quite having it right. But yeah, good racing, plenty of good racing coming up, which is going to be very, very good. And don't forget Woodlands. I've got to make sure I don't have to get everything up, but don't forget Woodlands are celebrating 30 years of world-class breeding. So thank you very much to those guys there. Don't forget, actually, while I'm doing some of these, I'll get through the Bathurst dates as well, because this Sunday, the 19th of March, this sale is still open up until the 23rd of November. That is the Bathurst Gold Crown yearling sales, run in conjunction with Nutrien, run on the Sunday, the 19th of March. So plenty to look forward to going in there. Nellie Melba has got involved. Perhaps the move from Metropolitan Centre to Moonee Valley has affected the way mainstream media views harness racing. Yeah, they may see it purely as country-based sport, and that's a pretty relevant comment.
Yeah, it's not a bad suggestion. It's very true. Like, we did move from the heart of the city to 40 k's out of town. So, and I know that, you know, obviously Melton is starting to get engulfed with more estates and so forth. But you know, it was a big decision at the time, and you know, is it the right decision? I'm not the one to judge it wholeheartedly for that. But yeah, you'd think that racing it still at Moonee Valley in this present day would certainly keep you in the eye of the city media, I guess.
No, absolutely. And yeah, another one that are doing great things with their social media is Harassing The Trotters, and they've got the 1 in 4 chance. Go to harassingthetrotters.com.au to enter the chance of winning service fee to Honor Street Classic Connection, Used to Me or Tomoko. There's 2 for On Solitaire for my New Zealand friends there as well. So T's and C's apply, but make sure you go to Harassing The Trotters for that. Didn't want that one. I wanted that one there. There's a full book of the stands available for Harassing The Trotters, but go to their website and go from there. Daniel, got some fun ones for you. Well, actually, I got Mohawk. Did you actually watch Mohawk the other day? Whoops, went the wrong way. I hate when I do that. I've got to go that way. Oh, not that one.
My schedule's pretty busy, so I probably did miss it.
It was fine. It was Mohawk Millions. To be honest, I missed it too. I was talking to my good friend Greg Gangor, and I said it's on now. He said, mate, it was on yesterday. I was watching it on YouTube, and it said it's going live, so I just assumed it was. So it was quite civil. It was lunchtime. It was the middle of the day. I thought, this is great coverage, this. So, but anyway, but oh well. Took out the Mohawk Millions. There is no audio for this one, Daniel, so we can't get into trouble for talking over the top of it. But this colt, he was at $530,000 yearling at the yearling sales. He's a 2-year-old. He now has already amassed $830,000 one year later. He set a best mark of 153 dead. He actually sent that winning this race here. So pretty impressive stats, and he is by Muscle Hill, and we have got so many of them standing here in Australia this year. It's really, really exciting. So What the Hill and a few of the others, but great little race to be able to watch. Daniel's been sidetracked by something, but he's fine. I know he's got something going.
I'm watching the race.
Oh, you're watching the race? Oh, of course, because I've taken away one of his computers because he had bad audio last week. But beautiful colt, and doesn't wear any lines. So wears no poles. He has a set of block winkers, and that's it. Very little boots, and going from there.
153.4. 153.4 for a 2-year-old trotter.
Yep, winning $1 million race. Well, you got to watch rumble strips. Now, he was a 3-year-old, but it was on a half-mile track. Rumble strips, Michael House put it in. I can't find it. I can't find the footage of it. It's not easily accessible. Possibly is if I knew where to find the results. He went 153 around a half-mile track with no boots. No boots and very little gear as well. So, yeah, for a trotter. So, a man with one of the worst named trotters going around in Heptiptis, whatever it is, Phoenix.
Feastus.
Who trialled? Who trialled?
Yeah, we went I thought we were going good, going 2-1.2, but geez, we've got to find 8 seconds.
Nah, that's in America. And no, I think your horse did go very good, mate. I think he was terrific. So, I think you can be happy with
that under your hat. Just between you and me, no one else.
Yeah, well, there was a technical issue. I'll declare this. Daniel had a crack at the video recording quality at Melton. That was that whole issue was on my head there. We had a bit of bandwidth trouble. It did come good towards the end of the day. We're not sure exactly what happened there. We didn't change anything, but it did come good. We were showing them live, but unfortunately they were about a minute delayed. So we're not sure. There was something, there was gremlin in the system that threw us out. So as they got better, we got slower delayed. So we're not sure exactly what happened there, but we're back next Tuesday. So Tuesday coming, we'll be back. Hopefully people enjoyed the footage of Ladies in Red. Dave Moran was terrific giving his insights. Anyone wondering why I started with a lap to go or coming up the 1,000 metres? There wasn't much footage prior to that. There was a massive rock on the lens. Because I was doing the show, I couldn't get out and clean it. And I actually gave up and I thought, I'll keep watching. And thankfully it drops off, because there was enough rain that it actually drops off. So anyone wondering, you don't see a hell of a lot prior to that. You can see, you get teasers a couple of times that it's about to, and then it doesn't. And then, yeah, it drops off basically right as where we pick it up. So, yeah, so that is why. While I've got Alex Hurley is on there, and Nellie Melba, and about breeding is cruel. Breeding is cool, not cruel. Wrong word, Daniel. Papa Razi. Now, I found this on my trotting show the other day, Daniel. So I was going for him. This horse won a race in Western Australia. He's had 27 starts. He's won 11, 7 seconds and 1/3. He's got a brilliant record. Like, that's 19 placings out of 27 for a trotter in Western Australia, and they get it a little bit hard. He's by Follow the Stars, who is by Art Major, out of Art Force, who is by Modern Art. So he has a double cross there. He's just it's a really interesting one. But the last time I did the breeding is cool. The horse that one of the horses I actually showcased was Be a Star, who was out of Smirin Desiru. I can never get that surname out. And because she is actually the dam of Follow the Stars. So it's just great. All these trotting little intricacies coming up into it, and it is a lot of fun. So I actually like it, mate. So yeah, it's just one of those things I try to showcase. I bring random things to this show. You know that.
You do that, yes.
I do indeed. Don't forget Barrastock, great sponsors of mine. They're the only hat I've worn today. I haven't changed their hat. I might do that now. I'll do this one actually. I'll do a bit of product placement. Favouritefoals.com.au. Don't forget to go there and register it. Just make sure you put the S after foals because it makes a big difference because there's 2 of them. Rightio, Daniel, back onto the straight and narrow a little bit. Kilmore Cup. How did you Did you get to watch it at all? I'm not sure if you were working Friday, but did you get to watch it at all? And did you enjoy the race?
I don't even know what I was doing. But I did watch the race and very impressive performance by Rock and Roll Do. I think to a degree he's probably flown under the radar a little bit. Like we've always known that he's had a fair bit of ability. And he's always sort of been there or thereabouts. I remember I actually did the radio show here in Shep last Saturday morning and sort of went back through the races that he contested, and you know he was where are we? I'm just going to try and find it here. So he ran in the Breeders' Crown. Well, he ran in the Derby as a 3-year-old. He ran last in the final of the Derby after running third in a heat. He won a heat of the Breeders' Crown, 5th in a semi, 4th in a final. He's 2nd in a Vic Bred heat, 4th in a semi, 5th in a final, and then 4th in a Bonanza before winning the Paleface Adios Group 2 up at Menangle. So when you go through that form, he's been always there or thereabouts, but he's just never been right at the absolute top. And I think coming back as a this time in, he's had 2 massive wins in the last 2 runs that he's been in. It might be the making of him. He might be, he might have just found his everything might have just clicked, and they've set some lofty heights for him. But when you go back and look through his form, it's pretty hard to knock what sort of that he's always been in the elite races. So it's very hard to knock him, and he's always been there or thereabouts. So well-deserved victory in the last 2 races. But he's probably just one that snuck under people's guards a little bit because he wasn't winning those races.
No, definitely, and I don't disagree with you. And manners were his issue. I was actually walking around with Mick Stanley prior to them going onto the track, and his manners were first class. He was sensational the way he walked and paraded himself around. So, yeah, he's a lovely horse. He's got a good future. As you said, he's got some lofty heights to be set. But I just changed cameras just to see something. But I reckon I'll stay back with the one I've got. I had a couple of issues with one earlier. Just Believe, going from strength to strength. Into Dominion Fields are out. We'll talk about those in a second. But going to be a real player, I would say, provided they get a run, which they should. When I saw the volume of horses that are entered for it, they definitely should.
I haven't looked at the devil in the detail with all the nominations, so I can't sort of say yes or no to that. But I like his form, particularly his form in the last, the last 2 runs in particular at Shep and at Kilmore have been first class, and sort of always another one that sort of probably slipped under the guard of a lot of people. You sort of forget. I think in a way you sort of forget where these horses have actually run and what races they've been in. He's 3rd in a heat of the 4-year-old Vic Bred and 4th in a final, and then 4th in the Dullard Cup after that, and then ran in the Great Southern Star. You sort of forget, the races that these horses have been in, despite not winning it. That may have another one that may have just turned the corner and has got a little bit older and a little bit more rounded in its ringcraft, and I don't think the Inter Dominions, I don't think it's going to something that's going to be absolutely off the charts that far in front of them, particularly in the trotters.
Yep.
This guy won't be there or thereabouts.
I think the trotters really have a big chance this year of being the standout of the whole series. I really do. I think they've got a massive chance of it. So, yeah. Matthew Cooper, we will get to you in 2 seconds. Just while I got the New Zealand guys in my mind, Blue September, nearly $50,000 they have raised in money for prostate cancer awareness. So well done to them, those guys, and also here in Australia. And I know people are doing a huge job over there. We want to make sure people are aware of prostate cancer. Where did I see it here? It's 1 in every 7 Aussie men get prostate cancer. 3,500 men every year suffer from prostate cancer. So we need to get on top of that, that's for sure, and want to do it. Now, I've had a couple. We're going to get to Matthew Cooper's in a second. Rodney McAlpine, the other day, Daniel. Now, he sent me a message on my All Trotting show talking about a pacer. And I actually thought he was telling me he loves me work. Then when I read it, his form a little bit more, I found that he actually owned a horse. So what he said to me is he owns a horse. Love Your Work is the name of the horse. went 150.8.
You have you obviously have no use of punctuation marks or anything like that, or
I was live.
Anything like that.
No. I was live, and once he said it was a pacer, I'm like, well, you're on the wrong show. So I said to him that I would make sure I give him a plug, and I will say well done to him. 4 on the trot. So that's a big effort. Goes around again, I think, at Albion Park this Saturday night, but it's won its last 4. Set a best mark the other night of 150.8. So I think well done to you, Rodney, and thank you very much for joining in. I can't have a pacer on a trotting show. I have enough troubles as it is trying to separate them.
Sacrosanct.
Yes.
That's sacrosanct. You can't be doing that.
Absolutely it is. And just on that, and we haven't said anything about him today either, but I've still got your name up. Where's your name there? The safety specialist. Don't forget Daz Aiken. I said about birthdays before. His is coming up as well. 0400 309 902 for all your apparel. I don't know if he done these ones or not. I don't know. Righto, Matthew Cooper's comments. Daniel, your thoughts on that? 64 out of the 90 runners on Friday night. One trainer, hobby trainers dropping like flies. Does something need to be done? Is it up to the individuals? Is it up to the governing body to do something about it? Don't want to throw you under the bus either. Have a think about it.
No, it's a perplexing question because I don't know what the answer is. It is concerning for everybody else in the sport in Tasmania. Obviously, the stable that is involved in this has obviously got. From a harness point of view, they've obviously got all the horses, but from an industry perspective as well, they have therefore obviously got a significant number of people that are employed in the industry, that are working for them, that are earning a wage out of the industry. Then streaming off of that, you've got all of the feed companies that are obviously attached to this stable, and everything else that goes with it. So there's a lot of things at play with regards to the number of horses, the impact that the stable has on the sport. I do get the on the other side of the coin. I do understand how the hobby trainers or the other trainers in the state, how can they possibly compete? And that's exactly right, because if you've only got 1 or 2 horses and you're going to the races every week and you can't even, you're struggling to get in the top 4 or 5 to earn a check, it does make it really, really hard. I have absolutely no idea what the answer is. Do I think it's a good look? It's probably not, but I don't know what the answer is. And I hope that there's someone smarter than me that can work something out, because, it does look a little bit odd. And a little bit frustrating at times when you look at the form guide and you see a full race of horses from the one stable. But again, I don't know what the answer is.
You can't penalise Ben Yole because his business model, alleviates itself to be able to do that. So that part's okay. So you can't necessarily put restrictions on horses, because what happens if next year Daniel Hibberd has 6 good 2-year-olds and you're only allowed to race 4 of them? So it is a juggling act, and I think a lot of people are aware of the issue, but how do the governing bodies rectify it? I don't know. And is it something that the evolution will change, that all of a sudden one day the Yoles are going to wake up and they're going to go, this is madness, and change? And then if they take 30 of those 64 horses out, does that meeting stand up? So that's that is another issue. But that probably is another monster that's created. So now all of a sudden Tas Harness Racing need Ben Yole to make sure we make up the fields. So, it's
and that's why I don't know what the answer is. And speaking of issues from a state perspective, like we've obviously just talking about Tassie in there, and I was reading an article about what's happening over in South Australia at the moment, and the issue with the handicapping system that seems to be making a big impact on the horses over there. I think there's the issue at play. There was a 2-year-old that was racing against the older horses, and the way that's looking is that this 2-year-old, I think, has won a handful of races, might be 3 or 4 races, and might be having to go up against a horse that's won, 50 odd races because of the nature of the handicapping system. So there's that issue as well. So there's always issues and problems and so forth in the sport. And we just hope that we can sort of, sort them out and make sure that it's a fair and equitable system for everybody to try and earn a living out of, if that's the way that they operate their business.
I saw the other day too, they're changing the handicapping system for the 2-year-olds, which will just be ridiculous. But anyway, we won't go there until I know all the ins and outs of that. I did glance over that one very, very quickly. Jenny Lewis, Blanche Poole, Pam Hocking, we've got plenty of people watching. Brad Stevens is watching. Troy Harley's watching. Hales is on. We got to give the Benny Gap Greyhound Cup. We'll have to get some stuff done on that going forward as well. So I was actually going to get Hales onto this, but he does have school holidays, and I know you do too, and I don't want to hold you up a lot longer, but we've still got a few things to tick off as we go through it. Woodlands are tweaking at the minute about the going there. Thanks for your thoughts. Matty Cooper, don't worry about our thoughts. I think everyone's aware of it, and I'm sure Ben Yole's probably aware of it. I would say one side of him's happy that he does have such a large arsenal and he knows he's going to make X amount of money, but he probably worries about the competition. I don't think you get into racing to monopolise the whole industry. I think you want competition, and maybe, I don't know. So anyway, but
just on the thing with that as well. So he's got 64 out of the 90. So you'd think he's say for example he wins every race on the card. He's still going to have, so that's, say there's 9 races. Say there's 9 races at 10. So he's got 9 winners, and he runs a few placings as well. There's still probably 40 horses out, or 30 or 35 horses that haven't run in the top 5 doing a check, like a proper check. I know they get the travel prize money and so forth, but when how they would still be making money out of it, I'm not quite sure that I know that obviously they're winning, but I don't know if the numbers would still stack up that they're making anything out of it.
He's got 9.
That would be the interesting aspect.
He's got 9 horses in the first race, Daniel. I've got the fields up there on the Facebook. They'll start to come up for you now. 8 out of the first 9 in that one. That's it's actually a standing start. We won't even go there. We had a Kilmore Cup the other day that should have been a standing start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Can't have that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's got 10 out of the 13. Why didn't I just count the ones that weren't in his name? Would have been easier. 10 out of the 13 there. And then you start to get a bit of a...
Look at that first race. The prize money is 5,950. So say he finishes in the first 5 with all his runners run top 5, he's going to pick up $6,000 for those horses. But when you divide that by, say you divide it by all the horses that are in the race for him, so he's still only going to get, $600 for each horse, or $800 for each horse.
Yeah, and does that cover the owner's expenses and if they're on half stakes and things like that? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It seems like there's another one there. So there's a $9,000 one, race number 6, where he has all but 2 of the runners in there. All but, okay, so races 6 and 7, he doesn't have one of the 7, and then the same in the last. So 6, 7 and 8. He doesn't have them. Very interesting, Daniel. Go from a TAB's perspective. So race 3, Ben has 3 in it. Race 4, he has the vast majority of them. I'm not going to go counting through those again. So I would imagine those races there, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 for the quaddie legs. So from a turnover. So Might be wrong, but yeah. Anyway, that could be the way I see it. I don't know, mate. So yeah, it is an interesting one. We'll go back to those fields very, very shortly. I had two other things I thought. Blue September, I think I mentioned for the guys in New Zealand, done a huge job for prostate cancer, so well done to them. Swan Hill Stallion tender, Jared Maloney came on the show last week. Well done to everyone who got involved, including Alex Hurley and a couple of others. I do know the Woodlands Stallions went off. I think most of the Stallions went off, which is a great result for Swan Hill Harness Racing Club because they didn't have too many tenders at all prior to that. So well done to those guys for getting involved with that, and I really do appreciate it. And I know the studs appreciate it too. So that's actually always really, really cool. So anyway, hopefully, Matty, we've answered a few of your questions. Daniel, the one I do want to get to is Saturday night's race meeting because I think it's just a huge meeting and plenty of quality stepping out. Oh, actually, before we do that, one thing that you and I keep bringing up that potentially people should be aware of, and where is it? Right there, is Wagga. You and I keep banging on about the amount of Victorians going across there from our industry. I know it's one of those ones, but it is just a worry that we have so many of our quality horses stepping over the border to the Riverina week in, week out. There's 3 and 4 in every race this week at Wagga. Well done to the guys at Wagga for putting on it and New South Wales Harness Racing. But for harness racing in general, it is just a little bit of a thing for the Victoria to be aware of, I reckon.
Well, number of the first 3 races on the card are New South Wales breeders challenge heats. So you can understand the need to go across there to race for that series. So that's absolutely a given.
And I'll tell you what, there's some lovely horses in them.
Yeah, absolutely not wrong. Absolutely brilliant. Those 3 races, and then there's a number of Vicks that are hanging around for other races on the card, and you can't blame them. You're racing for nearly $10,000. Why wouldn't you race there? But again, that's where, from a selfish point of view, as a Victorian, is that we need to look at that aspect of our racing.
Dave Moran's taking a team. Shane Sanderson's taking a team. Julie Douglas is taking a team. Russell Jack, Cameron Maggs, I saw had one, and I reckon Greg Fleming is going there as well, but because Dave Moran is actually his trainer now, so we'll combine those two as one. And I think I saw one other one, but I can't see it just off the top of my head there at the minute. But huge sprinkling of people turning up. Daniel, the other thing that I did want to do and make people aware of, that's what we were going to get to in the Inter-Dominion heats as well. I want to say thank you to Horsham Harness Racing Club. Wasn't made aware of this. I actually watched the race and didn't see it, but the Campbell's Comments podcast, 2-Year-Old Maiden, thank you very much to the Horsham Harness Racing Club for doing that. Wagga do it. The Bendigo Greyhounds do it. We said there before about Troy Harley on there and the like. I don't pay any of these clubs to do it. I don't do what I do to get that sort of recognition. So thank you very, very much. And I mean it. It only helps my brand grow. So I really am appreciative of that. And it was a nice little surprise. Greg Gengel actually made me aware of it. He walked into the office and he looked up and he saw the Campbell's Comments and at Horsham, and he sent me a cheeky text about it. So that was how I was made aware of it. So yeah, it was, but I will say thank you to all those clubs because it helps. People are made more and more aware of it. So yeah, it's a bit like wearing this hat. There's a reason I'm wearing this hat because people will notice it. So yeah, I just like to, I like to put it out. Right. Inter-Dominion Pacers heats, there the field is there. I had a quick look through, nothing that really jumped out and you sort of said, wow, or where did those ones come through? There's a lot of the regulars. There's a lot of up-and-coming horses like Fides and those that are probably chancing their arm this far from home just to see whether they're good enough or not, and they definitely may be. But yeah, nothing out of the ordinary for mine with the Pacers, Daniel, that I saw. Did you happen to notice any?
I was just having a look now. There's nothing. I mean, it's a bit like the Melbourne Cup nominations when they come out. Such a long way out before. I don't know, it's not a ridiculously long way out from the series, but you'll often see a few cheeky nominations. You think really they've put that in, but there's nothing that would fall under that category that I can pick out first glance of those paces. So, anyone that's trying to get in the series is obviously nominated, and I think there's a few in there that have probably already got their golden ticket, so they don't have to worry about being in the rankings because they know they're going to get in.
Can discuss the golden ticket with you in a minute too. Don't you worry about that. This race at Bendigo, they're like Brown's cows now. All of a sudden, I think Jess Tubbs' horse galloped out. Julie Douglas' horse just galloped as well, and then they're all over the shot. The Trotters are on screen now. I've noticed one going through that I was surprised wasn't in the noms, but looking at that, there's more Trotters already nominated. There's only meant to be 2 heats of the trot. And flicking through there, there's not a lot that you could say they don't deserve to be going round in it. They may have to pick their form up. I'm not saying they can win. But the Trotters in general, they seem to be quite a good sprinkling of horses. And there is at least one omission that I've noticed.
What's that?
Aldebaran Zeus.
Very true. That's that's good observation for you, and that's saying something.
You thought I was going to be cheeky, or did you think I was going to be cheeky and say there's a 3-year-old not in it?
Well, that's really quite bizarre, unless something's happened. But that's very surprising.
I did do an interview with Duncan, and he said it was potentially on the radar. Depends how he go in the Trotters Championship. He won the Trotters Championship, so my thoughts were he'd be going into the Inter-Dominion, but he's not. So yeah. So anyway, that's definitely one for some people to be able to sit back and see. Actually, I was just going to make sure because Just Believe is in. I was making sure of that. And unfortunately for Ray Healy, his trotter from last year won't be in it at all. So yeah. There's been a bit of a run here in this race at Bendigo. I don't know if you're watching it, mate, but the Julie Douglas horse, it jumped off stride going into the first turn, but it's going to win by panels here.
Wants to do it again too.
Yeah, it's going to win by.
It was going to go. There was only 5 in it, so it was a very small field. It's done everything wrong, but it looks like it's going to get away with it.
Yeah, Glenn Bull, isn't he having a terrific run?
You don't want to be on anything other than his when they're in front. If he's the leader. If the speed map says he's going to be in front, you probably need to be on him.
And you don't want to be outside of him trying to get the front because he doesn't hand it up to too lightly, that's for sure. Yeah, roll the aces there.
Glenn Bull and David Druitt, there's only one rule with those two.
Yep. And don't
go looking for the lead.
And leader Peter. Peter, I forgot his last name in Queensland. Oh.
Yeah.
Someone will tell me if we still got viewers. Someone will be able to tell me. Peter. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's okay. Rightio, Daniel. We could talk all night. We can. We're not going to go to the. We're not going to go through the results from last week or the week after. I don't mind doing them, but I'm not going to because it makes the show go for way too long. Just give me 1 minute, Daniel, while I bring up Saturday night's fields. That's where I'm going to right now, mate. And. Great night of racing, huge racing, some terrific races coming up in the next couple of weeks, mate.
It is a bit. The only thing that a little quirk that I noticed, and I'm just a bit surprised. I don't know why, but why there's only 2 heats of the Derby. I would have thought that they could have got 3. I'm just a bit surprised that they're only going to run 2, 3 heats of the Oaks. They obviously got a few more fillies for that, but just one of those quirks where you've only got 2 heats of the Derby, not knocking, certainly no knock on quality. I mean, it's probably, if anything, the depth of the fields has probably made that a little bit stronger, but it's a little unusual not to see 3 heats.
One we did, and I don't know, we chanced our arm in the Reg with us to see whether it was worthwhile having a crack or not. Wonder if 6 or 7 others did the same thing, and we said no. Yeah, we're happy with our horse. Very happy with our horse, but whether that's played a little part, a few people said, they'll test the waters there and a couple of the other races in the lead-ups, and maybe said, no, we're not going to have a crack. Or maybe it's because there is some very brilliant 3-year-olds this year.
Oh, this is probably one of the strongest batches that you've seen, and when you've got one that's come across as has come across as strong as Captain Ravishing in his last 2 runs. I know his win at Ballarat had broke all the 25 quarter and so forth, but I thought his win the other night was by far superior in terms of his track presence and his manners. He was all over the shop first up at Ballarat, but I thought the other night was just A1, and it's going to take a really good horse to beat him. I know he's drawn 12 in the heat, but if he gets through to the final, he's just going to be so hard to beat. And that's saying something when you consider the fact that we were probably up until Captain Ravishing's last 2 runs, we were probably saying, well, Catchaway's got a big chance of knocking this derby off because he's one of the best ones we've got going around. Probably not the case anymore. It is probably on Captain Ravishing's racket.
Nah. Just before we get onto that, Rodney McAlpine has come back in onto the show, Daniel. And yes, I saw you on the show, and we mentioned that mentioned it just a little bit earlier, Rodney. So it's great to have you. Great to be a part of the show, and we did give you a bit of a wrap earlier on. And he's got some interest from American buyers. So perhaps if I get him across the line, Daniel, I can hold my hand out for a bit of a sling.
10%.
I'll do anything. Now, I don't know if Rodney's aware of it, but good luck on Saturday night, Rodney, and enjoy the ride because it's great fun when you can get on a run like that, that's for sure. So good luck. Rightio, race number 1 at Melton on Saturday night is at 1 minute to 6, which is one of those Sky Channel times, but that's okay. Usual suspects, I suppose, if you like, Daniel, in an up to a 100 rated race. So almost, you M1, M2 sort of class horses, and it's a good field there of horses.
Yeah, it's not the absolute elite, but it's still a very strong race. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. Vanquish Stride's been going really well. It's probably got to be some sort of choice. Major Meister was super the other week when it won, so they're the 2 that have got the winning form. Beyond Delight's first up. You can't really knock anything that horse has done. If he's fit enough, he's probably going to be the hardest to beat, that's for sure.
Yep, definitely. Rightio. Oaks Heats, we'll start with those. The Pride's Easy Feeds, Victorian Oaks Heats, race heat number 1, Petulant. Just keeps getting the job done, doing 2, but really good race field. Bit of interest too with the Queenslanders. We had that coming on there before. Cover Girl as well. Non-Peril for Jess Tubbs as well. And our mate Lee Sutton's on board, and good luck to him and Duff with Venetian.
Yeah, Venetian's gone really well. Probably certainly a much easier grade. If it had a plum draw, you'd say that there'd be some sort of hope of getting through to the final. But I think the fact that the 4 down the board, 1, 2, 3, 4 have got the good gate. 1, 2, 3 have got the good gates. Is certainly going to be. I'd say the winner will come from the top 3, as I think Petillon's been certainly going very well, but Just Hope was certainly one of the benchmark 2-year-olds from last year. So plum draw for her. She's going to be really hard to beat as well. But the way that the marbles have fallen, I think it's either out of the 1, 2, and the 3.
Race number 3, the second of the Fillies heats, and I must say there's a lot of intrigue in these with the More Vita returning, and I think she's a class runner. I think she's a class runner of all of the Victorian Oaks fields, but she has to have everything going her way for mine. Beach Memories, Mataranka Farms bred her. They always tune in, so good luck to those guys. Joe and Joe drawn 1. James Herbertson gets the drive there, so it's going to be a pretty good chance for James, actually.
Yeah, certainly from the pole. First up, at Oaks, he's probably not absolutely ideal, but it's got the plum draw, so if it gets the right sort of get a trail or something like that, it's going to be thinking to be there or thereabouts. I think a More Vita's probably got the runs on the board, but I just don't know where she's at the moment. This is probably one of the harder heats to sort of work out. I'm not quite sure which direction to go. I think there's a number of chances in that race.
A More Vita for mine. Just go. It'll be fine. And then the last of them, we were talking before about Ben Yole. Hasn't Emma Stewart got a huge hand in these Oaks heats? He should be taking out at least 1 heat, I would imagine. And this This is a cracker. You got horses like Soho Hysteria, who's taken all before her, drawn inside the second row. Probably a little bit of a tricky draw there now. Sergio's Rocket for the South Australians. It's a really intriguing little race, this one as well, Daniel.
It is. This is similar to the previous heat. I do like Soho Historia, but I just don't know where she'll end up from that inside the draw. If she can get off the pegs, Mark will, he'll know what to do there. He can certainly, if he can get away from the pegs, he'll certainly do so as early as he can. It's over the 2,700 too, so this is going to really test some of these fillies. Really make it hard for them. So I can't imagine that too many of them have been over the long trip previously. So I think Soho Historia has got to be the one to beat for mine. It's just got to get off the pegs, and if it can do that, it's going to be really hard to beat. It's the barrier draw with her has made it a bit more of an interesting race.
Went looking for my hat because it's a down by the seaside Victorian Derby, first of the two heats, and they're going to be a cracking race. I haven't got a Woodlands hat here. How bad am I going? My major sponsor and I haven't got one of their hats. I'm going to be in all sorts of trouble if they watch this back. Catch a Wave draws barrier 12. Probably, I suppose, the most interest in that part there will be how he settles. Interest Free was just out of this world, I thought, the other day. I thought he was absolutely terrific. Then you have horses like Rip, Can't Find a Better Man. It is amazing the depth in these horses in this race, isn't it?
It is. And this is, as was mentioned, this is a cracker of a series. And I guess the fact that there are only two heats probably condenses down the quality. You're going to have to run top six to get through to the final. I've got a soft spot for Haranya, for Craig and Abby Turnbull. I think he is a really, really nice horse. Obviously, was able to win the Tas Derby back in March. Is undefeated. Is actually undefeated since coming across from New Zealand. It's had 6 starts for 6 wins. Couple of wins back from a spell, or 4 wins, I should say, back from a spell, and they've all been at Wagga. So, and it's been, just racing through the grades, essentially. It hasn't really had to do too much in those. This is its biggest test to date. Do I think it can win the heat? Maybe, but it's probably an each-way play, particularly from barrier 6. You'd imagine they'd try and go forward. But again, the 2,700 is really going to sort some of these guys out. And you're going to have to settle. If you don't settle and you pull yourself into the ground, you'll run 2,100 or 2,200, and you've still got 500 to go, and you're going to drop out. So I think Catch Away is certainly the best horse in the race from a quality perspective and class perspective. I don't know whether he might just be a bit too brilliant for 2,700. That's probably my only concern. Interest Free's mine. I think the way the camp have been looking after this horse, racing him against the older horses. I think a lot of people forgot he was even a 3-year-old when they started talking about him, because he's just raced the older horses week in, week out. He can come off the gate, he can settle, he can stay, and he was awesome, I thought, in the Reg with us the other day. I think he was out. Obviously, you can't take nothing away from the winner, and we'll talk about him in a second, but I think he was just amazing run, really was, and barrier draw brought him undone. So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting race. Argyle was poor last start, has ability though, and I know Ray Green's very, very keen on him. Race 6, down by the seaside, Victorian Derby, second heat. There's one scratching already in this, and that is the 7. So the emergency gets a run here off the inside of the second line. And I don't know whether barrier draws, I don't know. It just seems strange that it's just made such an intriguing race here now, with Captain Ravishing off the second line, Leap to Fame alongside of him. Poor old Joe Pace, he's been on the show. He was on the show earlier. Good luck to Joe. I reckon he would have been kicking the dirt when he saw 13 come up. And then you have horses like Simply Sand, who's drawn 4, Lightning Dan drawn 6 off the front line. Great race. Even actually Danger Zone for Craig and Abbey as well. He's a real chance. But I haven't even spoken about District Attorney. I haven't left you with much. It's a cracker, this race, isn't it? I just think this guy might be one out of the box. I seriously think he might be absolute. From what he's done, I know he's only had 2 runs back from a spell, and I know that he's obviously got the a bit more of the Emma and Clayton polish on him now, but he'd had 5 starts prior to that, won 2 of them at Melton. He ran second in a heat of the Derby before nothing going right in the final of the New South Wales Derby, and he's come back. He's first up, he's run 25 dead his last quarter in a race where he just did everything possible to throw it away and still won. His win there the other night, he just looked like a racehorse. As I say, they've been able to tinker. I'd say they've tinkered with a few things. They've got him a bit more track sensible, and he just looks so much better than anything that I've seen. I know Catch Away's had a lot of raps on him, but I think this guy might be something completely different. Again, he might be a bit brilliant for the distance, but if he settles well enough, his speed just might be too good for all of them. I know he's drawn 12, but I think he's just going to be so hard to beat.
If you can only watch one race Saturday night, watch this one, because as brilliant as Captain Ravishing is, and I think it was a great drive by Mark Pitt, great training effort, I think, as well by the guys the other day, because they purposely, I don't think, ran him off the arm in anticipating these races coming up, being the 2700. Wait till you see Leap to Fame.
Yeah, and that's it, because you don't want him over racing. You don't want to get him fired up for no good reason.
No, but wait till you see Leap to Fame. He's just another horse. He's just exceptional. He really is. And I saw him at Tamworth. We say about times and how fast they go. Tamworth's a flat half-mile track. He sat outside the leader and went 154 untouched. Mm-hmm. And beat a good field. Don't worry about that. He beat a really, really nice field of horses. If he's got the Onia now, I do know they had travel problems. So hopefully he's got the Onia.
You've got to hope they get here. We'll find out a bit later. Find out in the morning if he's going to get here or not.
And he gets here nicely. So yeah. But a lot of my friends have got horses in these races. Young Ryan Sanderson's got a drive on Cobber, who's quite a capable horse, that's for sure. Abby Turnbull, we say about that. Mickey Bellman and the Carawanas with District Attorney. Really, really interesting, good race. And Joe Pace, good luck to Joe and the rest of the family. They were on there before. I saw too, Darren was on there. No cheek from either of them. They've been very quiet. But, Joe's got a pretty busy night, actually. The Tab Smoking Up Group 2. Looking forward to the Inter Dominion when you see races like this, Daniel. Torrid Saint with 1, Better Eclipse 2, Crime Rider First, Emergency Unlucky, I'd say. Copy that. Act Now, Better Be the Bomb, Max Shard, who was terrific and will need the run again. I reckon they're getting him ready for a couple of the Vic Cup and a few others. 888, Tango Tara, Bondi Lockdown, where's he at? An old Bulletproof Boy, again, Barrier 11. But, it's just a cracking field, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a ripping race. Obviously, lead up to the Victoria Cup, and I'd say a few of these are just trying to put their noses underneath the faces of selectors, looking to try and get a run in that race. But I haven't gone through with a fine-tooth comb with this one. It's a cracking field, though, and Torrid Saint's drawn the perfect gate for him. You'd reckon he'd come out and try and lead. And if he led over the 1700 as he's done, as we know what he's capable of, he could be hard to toss. But if he did lead, I don't think he'd get away. I don't think he'd get an easy section anywhere in the run. I think that'll be all around trying to sit outside him and just keep the speed on. So, but it'll be a cracking event regardless.
Interesting little race though, because Act Now likes to fly the arm. I think Better Eclipse can't fly the arm, but he can hold his own. Copy that. Do they chance their arm and see what they can do there instead of being stuck in the middle? Better Be the Bomb goes back. I'd say Max Shard goes back. And then you've got a horse like 888, Daniel, who could be 3 the fence. He might be 2 the fence, but he could be 3 the fence.
He could be 2 the fence. But if he's deadly. He's just deadly if he's in that spot. So, and then Bondi Lockdown. I mean, if he was able to, recapture some of that absolute elite form, he'd have to be right in the mix. And you can't knock him. Like, I know he's probably been a touch disappointing, but he was only 5th. He did a ton of work last time out. Cold sit off the second row might be just coming flying home over the top of him. You just never know.
And then you got Scotty Ewan.
Yeah, well, he could be following him. He could be on his helmet the whole way, and that might be the only way Scott could probably win the race. I've got to get into the race, so I'll just follow probably one of the better horses. And if Bondi Lockdown had ones against his names instead of 8, 3, and 5, he'd say, well, I'll just get onto his back and follow him.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. Nah, that's it. We won't be covering off too many of the others. We haven't got anyone else getting into our comments. Don't forget the Lower Long Farms stay an incentive if we breed to Pastor Steve and Raging Bull, Yankee Rockstar, Poster Boy, or Lather Up, and they can win the Vic Bred finals for the boys and girls, trotters and pacers. You can win $100,000. There could be 4 of those going off. So good luck to everyone involved there. And the Trump Bloodstock 2-year-old trot and 2-year-old pacers race to be run in Queensland. I've got Anton Galino on tonight. Hello to you, Anton. Hopefully the back's getting better and going well. So don't forget Harass the Trotters. I've done the stallions. I've done the competition, Anton, but we'll whack the competition back up since he's on there going along. Go round him. Michael House, that's random. That come in out of the blue. I'm not sure what that one means. Do you, Daniel?
I think he's talking about, what I said was Bulletproof Boy, go around him, leaders don't follow, maybe. Or right. Bondi Lockdown, maybe. I don't know. He might be talking about Bondi Lockdown.
Bondi Lockdown, yep. And then also the Silver Salver for the guys in South Australia is on now. So make sure you get your nominations in. They don't close for a little while yet. So make sure you get in touch with, I think it's Gary Newton. The phone number, you can find it there just by going to Botra. Anyway, they've got to do better than that. They've got to have things on there. So when I'm reading those tiles, Daniel, I can actually find the things. I'm pretty sure I've gone through everything as always. You've got it. Yes, Darren, into it.
I think you meant Daniel.
Yeah,
we'll say you meant Daniel.
I'll help him. It is late over there. He has been up for a while. I'll go that way, and that'll make it better for you, Mick. It'll be a lot easier. So, thank you to everyone who has joined in. Good to have you back on, mate. Whether it's only for 1 week or not, I don't know, but it's good to have you back on. I really do enjoy it.
We'll see how the ratings work.
Oh, it'll rate, mate. This is the number one. This is the number one harness racing show online. In Australia, the world, everywhere. Michael House from New Zealand still watching in. Stuart Tanner hasn't tuned in. I don't know where Stuart is. He must be working today because it is daytime there in London. But I have people watching from everywhere. India, Pakistan, you name it, mate. Talking harness racing. It's what we have to do. So, mate, thank you very much. I will be back next Wednesday. What are you doing next Wednesday? You calling Meadows or Bendigo or?
Back to Bendigo next week.
Rightio. Very, very good. And g'day to you, Rodney. Thank you for joining in the show. Good luck on Saturday night, mate. Thank you to everyone. Daniel Hibberd, thank you so much for coming on and giving me a hand. Good thing New Zealand 2-year-olds could stay here. That's random from Michael House. Yeah, I think
he's got worse English than you have.
Yeah. Hey, and that is saying something because some of the words that get me around
that is saying something.
Unbelievable. Nellie Melby, you are most welcome. You always join in. You're a little silent person from time to time. Then every now and then we'll get a little trigger one for you. But thank you for joining us. Bit of fun. Been a long show, but yeah, we enjoy it. So thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in, and we'll be back next week.